I'm Evan, 32 years old, a freelance graphic designer living in Portland, Oregon. A city known for its quirky culture and laid-back vibe. But trust me, life here isn't all coffee shops and indie music festivals. Beneath the surface, there's tension, financial struggles, strained relationships, and the lingering weight of a post-pandemic world. My story begins with a night that shattered everything I thought I knew about friendship, love, and loyalty. It started innocently enough. Mia, my wife, had an after-hours parent-teacher meeting at her elementary school. She told me to go out and relax if I wanted to. So I called Caleb, my best friend since childhood. We've been through everything together. Childhood bullies, teenage heartbreaks, even navigating our 20s when life felt like it was falling apart. But that night changed everything. We met at a bar downtown. One of those dimly lit places with mismatched furniture and cheap beer on tap. At first, it was just casual banter, laughing about old memories, venting about work stress. Then the drinks kept coming. One turned into 3, then 5. The room spun and the conversation grew heavier. We talked about things we'd never said before. Our fears, regrets, and frustrations. And then, I don't remember much after that. Just flashes. A hand on my shoulder. Whispers too close for comfort. And Caleb's eyes. Those piercing, unreadable eyes staring at me like he saw something no one else ever had. When I woke up the next morning on Caleb's couch, my head pounding and my stomach churning, panic hit me like a freight train. What happened last night? Did we? No, it couldn't be. But why did I feel so ashamed? Why did his gaze haunt me like a ghost? I grabbed my phone and saw a text from Mia. Where were you last night? My hands trembled as I typed a vague reply. But deep down I knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The days following that disastrous night were a blur of guilt and paranoia. I tried to act normal around Mia, but she wasn't buying it. Her sharp glances and clipped tone told me she suspected something was off. Evan, she said one evening over dinner, you've been distant lately. Is everything okay? Her question hung in the air like a storm cloud. I forced a smile and lied through my teeth. Just tired from work, babe. Don't worry. But Mia wasn't the only problem. Caleb wouldn't leave me alone. He texted constantly, cryptic messages that made my skin crawl. Things like, we need to talk, or you can't ignore what happened. Each message felt like another brick being added to the wall closing in around me. One afternoon while I was working on a client project, my phone buzzed again. It was him. 3 words. We need to talk. I stared at the screen, my heart racing. What did he want? To blackmail me? To make sure I didn't tell anyone? Or worse, did he think we were going to repeat that night? Mia noticed how distracted I was. She started checking my phone when I wasn't looking. Once I caught her scrolling through my texts, her face pale and unreadable. When she confronted me, I brushed it off, but inside I was screaming. This was supposed to be my safe space, my marriage, my friendship. Instead, both felt like ticking time bombs ready to explode. Caleb didn't stop. If anything, he doubled down. Every day he found new ways to remind me of that night. Sometimes it was subtle, a comment about how loyal friends stick together, or a knowing smirk during conversations. Other times it was blatant. You know you owe me, he said one evening when I ran into him at a coffee shop. His voice was low, almost menacing. You can't just pretend nothing happened. His words cut deeper than any blade could. I felt trapped, torn between 2 worlds. On one side was Mia, the woman I loved, who deserved honesty and trust. On the other was Caleb, the man I once called my brother, now wielding secrets like weapons. Work became unbearable. Deadlines slipped, clients complained, and my creativity dried up. I spent hours staring at blank screens, unable to focus. Even simple tasks felt impossible. At home, the tension between Mia and me grew thicker. She stopped asking questions and instead retreated into silence. Meals were eaten in awkward quiet, and nights were filled with restless tossing and turning. Every time Caleb reached out, I felt myself sinking further into despair. It was like he was pulling me into a dark pit, and no matter how hard I clawed at the edges, I couldn't climb out. One night, after another barrage of texts from Caleb, I snapped. I threw my phone across the room, shattering the screen. Mia heard the noise and rushed in, her eyes wide with concern. What's wrong with you? She demanded. I wanted to scream the truth at her, to confess everything, but I couldn't. Instead, I muttered something about stress and walked away. Sophie, Mia's younger sister, showed up unannounced one Saturday afternoon. She claimed she was in town for a work conference, but I suspected otherwise. Sophie had always been perceptive, and lately she'd been watching me closely. "Can we grab coffee?" she asked, avoiding Mia's curious glance. We ended up at a small cafe downtown. Sophie ordered a latte, then turned to me with a serious expression. "There's something going on with you and Caleb," she said bluntly. "Spill it." For a moment I considered lying. But Sophie's steady gaze broke me. Slowly, painfully, I told her everything. Well, almost everything. I left out the worst parts, the ones that made me question whether I even deserved forgiveness. When I finished, Sophie sighed heavily. "Evan, Caleb isn't who you think he is." Her words sent a chill down my spine. "What do you mean?" "He's done this before," she admitted. "Back in college, he had an affair with someone close to our family. Someone he swore was just a friend." My stomach churned. "Who?" She hesitated, then whispered the name. My blood ran cold. It was someone Caleb often mentioned casually, someone I trusted implicitly. In that moment, the ground beneath me crumbled. Caleb wasn't just a manipulative friend. He was a predator, feeding on vulnerability and exploiting trust. Sophie placed a hand on mine. "Be careful, Evan. He'll destroy you if you let him." As I walked home, the weight of her words pressed down on me. How could I have been so blind? And more importantly, how could I fix this mess without losing everything? A few weeks later, Sophie called me out of the blue. Her voice was shaky, hesitant. "Can we meet? There's something else you need to know." We met at the same cafe where I'd confronted Caleb. Sophie looked nervous, fidgeting with her coffee cup. "What is it?" I asked, bracing myself. She took a deep breath. "After our last conversation, I did some digging. Talked to a few people who knew Caleb in college. Turns out he's done this before. Multiple times." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "He targeted people who trusted him. Friends, coworkers, even acquaintances. He'd get close to them, gain their confidence, then manipulate them until they were completely dependent on him." The pieces clicked into place. All those years I'd spent feeling indebted to Caleb, believing I needed him. That wasn't unique. It was his pattern. "And none of them talked about it," Sophie continued. "They were too ashamed, too scared of what he might do." I felt sick. How many lives had Caleb destroyed? How many others had suffered because of his games? "Where is he now?" I asked quietly. Sophie shrugged. "He left town a few days ago. No one knows where he went." Part of me was relieved. Another part wondered if this was just the beginning. If Caleb would resurface somewhere else, continuing his cycle of destruction. But for now he was gone. And for the first time I allowed myself to hope he'd never come back. Months passed, and while the scars of the past remained, Mia and I grew stronger. Therapy taught us how to communicate openly, how to rebuild trust brick by brick. One evening, as we stood on the balcony overlooking the city lights, Mia turned to me. "You've changed," she said, smiling faintly. "In a good way." "So have you," I replied, pulling her close. Life wasn't perfect. We argued sometimes, stumbled over old wounds, but we were learning. Learning to love each other differently, more intentionally. I also learned something else. The importance of boundaries. Saying no didn't make me weak. It made me strong. Protecting my mental health wasn't selfish, it was necessary. As I looked at Mia holding her hand tightly, I realized something profound. Life isn't about perfection. It's about progress. And for the first time in a long time, I felt hopeful. Things reached a boiling point faster than I expected. It started with Mia finding one of Caleb's texts. A seemingly innocent message, but in context, it was damning. "What is this?" she asked, her voice trembling as she held up my phone. The screen glowed with his words. "We need to talk. Soon." I froze, my mind racing for an explanation. "It's nothing, Mia. Just work stuff." "Work stuff." She laughed bitterly, the sound cutting through me like shards of glass. "You think I'm stupid? Who is he, Evan? What aren't you telling me?" Her eyes searched mine, desperate for the truth, but all I could do was stammer nonsense. My silence spoke louder than any lie I could concoct. Then came the question that shattered whatever fragile trust remained between us. "Do you love him?" The room seemed to tilt. Her voice wasn't angry, it was broken raw. Like she already knew the answer and was just waiting for me to confirm her worst fears. No. I shouted, too quickly, too defensively. Of course not. He's my friend. But even as the words left my mouth, I felt their hollowness. They didn't ring true, not to me, and certainly not to Mia. Her face hardened. If you don't end things with him completely, I'm leaving. Her words hit me like a slap across the face. Who do you choose? Him or me? That night sleep was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes I saw Mia's tear-streaked face, heard her ultimatum echoing in my ears. How had it come to this? How had I let Caleb worm his way so deeply into my life that choosing between him and my wife even felt like a dilemma? But the real kicker came the next morning. Caleb showed up at my apartment uninvited, barging in like he owned the place. We need to settle this, he said, pacing back and forth. Mia knows something's up. You're screwing everything up, Evan. His tone was accusatory, almost mocking. I clenched my fists, anger bubbling beneath the surface. This isn't about you. I snapped. This is my life, Caleb. My marriage. And you've been manipulating me from day one. He stopped mid-step, turning to face me with a smirk that made my skin crawl. Manipulating you? Please. You're the one who came on to me that night, remember? Or are you gonna deny that too? My stomach churned. Was he right? Had I initiated it? The memory of that night was still a blur, but his words planted seeds of doubt in my mind. You're toxic. I spat, trying to regain control. I don't know why I ever trusted you. Oh, come on, he sneered. You'd be lost without me. Admit it. Something inside me snapped. 4 years I'd let Caleb dictate the terms of our friendship. His rules, his expectations, his games. But no more. I'm done, I said firmly, though my voice shook. Stay out of my life. Caleb's smirk faltered, replaced by a look of pure venom. Fine. But don't say I didn't warn you. As he stormed out, slamming the door behind him, I sank onto the couch, my head in my hands. The weight of everything pressed down on me. The guilt, the betrayal, the uncertainty. And then, as if the universe wanted to twist the knife further, my phone buzzed. It was Mia. Meet me at the park, the text read. We need to talk. I arrived at the park feeling like I was walking to my execution. Mia sat on a bench overlooking the river, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. She looked smaller, somehow fragile. I've been thinking, she began, her voice steady but laced with emotion. About us. About everything. I braced myself for the worst. I love you, Evan. But I can't keep living like this. Constantly questioning where your loyalty lies. Either you cut Caleb out completely or... She trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. Tears welled in my eyes. I will, Mia. I promise. She studied me for a long moment, searching for sincerity in my expression. Finally, she nodded. Okay. But if you break my trust again... I won't, I interrupted, my voice cracking. I swear. As we hugged, relief washed over me, but it was fleeting. Because deep down, I knew Caleb wasn't going to let me go that easily. Later that night, as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my phone lit up with a notification. It was a single message from Caleb. You'll regret this. The words sent a chill down my spine. Whatever peace I'd found felt precarious, like standing on the edge of a cliff while someone shook the ground beneath me. This wasn't over. Not even close. The weight of everything became unbearable. Between Mia's ultimatum, Caleb's threats, and my own guilt, I felt like I was drowning. That's when I decided to see Dr. Laura, a therapist recommended by a coworker. Walking into her office for the first time, I wasn't sure what to expect. The room was warm but professional, with soft lighting and shelves lined with books. She greeted me with a calm smile, and though I wanted to believe she could help, part of me doubted anyone could untangle the mess I'd made. So, she began after I explained the situation. Tell me how this all started. As I recounted the events, the night at the bar, the texts, Caleb's manipulation, I realized how much I'd been avoiding the truth. Dr. Laura listened intently, occasionally nodding or asking probing questions. Evan, she said finally, leaning forward, do you feel like you owe Caleb something? Her question caught me off guard. I guess so. He's my best friend. Or at least he was. Dr. Laura's gaze locked onto mine. You don't owe him anything. Her words hit me like a thunderclap. For years I'd let Caleb dictate the terms of our friendship, bending over backward to keep him happy. But why? Because of some unspoken debt I thought I owed him? Over the next few sessions we dug deeper. Dr. Laura helped me unpack the layers of guilt and obligation I'd wrapped around myself. She encouraged me to set boundaries. Not just with Caleb, but with everyone in my life. It's okay to say no, she reminded me during one particularly tough session. In fact, it's necessary if you want to protect your mental health. Armed with newfound clarity, I resolved to confront Caleb once and for all. This time I wouldn't let him twist my words or manipulate me. I owed him nothing. Not my loyalty, not my silence, and certainly not my self-respect. But as I left Dr. Laura's office that day, a nagging fear lingered in the back of my mind. What would Caleb do when I stood up to him? Would he lash out? Or worse, would he try to drag me into it? One thing was certain. I couldn't keep running from this. It was time to face the storm head-on. I called Caleb and demanded we meet, at a neutral location far from home. He agreed, though his tone suggested he already knew why I'd asked. We met at a quiet cafe near the waterfront. The air was thick with tension as I slid into the seat across from him. We need to talk, I said, cutting straight to the point. Caleb smirked, sipping his coffee like he didn't have a care in the world. About what? Your little breakdown the other day. No, I snapped, my patience wearing thin. About us. About everything. I'm done letting you control me, Caleb. Done letting you use me. His smirk faded, replaced by a cold glare. Control you? Use you? Don't act like you're some innocent victim here, Evan. You were the one who... Don't... I interrupted, slamming my hand on the table. Don't you dare twist this around. That night it was a mistake. A drunken lapse in judgment. But you've spent months manipulating me. Making me feel guilty. Making me think I owe you something. Caleb leaned back, his expression icy. Oh, poor little Evan. Can't handle the truth, huh? Fine. Go ahead and cut me out. See if I care. His words stung, but they didn't hold the same power they once did. I saw through him now, the games, the lies, the calculated cruelty. I mean it, Caleb, I said, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. Stay out of my life. If you contact me again, I'll go to the police. For a moment he looked genuinely shocked. Then his lips curled into a sneer. You really think this is over? You have no idea what you're messing with. It was an empty threat, but it sent a shiver down my spine. Still I held my ground. When the conversation ended, neither of us spoke another word. As I walked away, I glanced back at him one last time. His eyes burned with hatred, like a cornered animal ready to strike. But I didn't care anymore. For the first time in months I felt free. Mia agreed to attend couples therapy with me. A small but significant step toward rebuilding what we'd lost. Those early sessions were painful, filled with raw emotions and difficult conversations. There are still moments when I doubt you, Mia admitted during one session. But I want to trust you again. I want us to work. Her honesty gutted me. I knew I didn't deserve her forgiveness, but I was determined to earn it. Outside of therapy, I focused on myself. I threw myself into my work, rediscovering the passion I'd lost. I started exercising again, eating better, and reconnecting with old hobbies. Slowly but surely, I began to feel like myself again. Mia noticed the changes too. One evening, as we sat together on the couch watching TV, she reached for my hand. I'm proud of you, she said softly. Not just for trying to fix things, but for standing up to Caleb. Her words meant more to me than she could ever know. Still, there were moments of doubt for both of us. Late at night, when the house was quiet, I'd lie awake wondering if Caleb would reappear, if he'd find a way to ruin everything again. But Mia's presence beside me reminded me of one undeniable truth. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but at least we were walking it together.